Welcome to part two of the virtual assistant series, where I help you launch your very own freelancing virtual assistant business from the ground up in 2025. If this is the first time you're seeing this video, I would suggest watching part one because what we'll be covering inside this video will make a whole lot more sense to you. Little recap on what we talked about in part one was what even is a virtual assistant? What does a virtual assistant potentially do? The role of a virtual assistant, all the potential services you could provide as a virtual assistant, and who you could potentially work with. I also gave some homework for you to do as well. Yes, there was homework because I am literally on a mission. I don't want this series to be just another thing that you watch and do nothing about, because there's so much information online and I know you're gonna get overwhelmed, which is why I am giving you homework. I want you to succeed and really start your virtual assistant business because it completely changed my life. For those of you who are new and you might not know who I am, hello, my name is Charn. I'm a freelance virtual assistant coach. I also run my own virtual assistant agency, which I scaled from being a solo virtual assistant. I originally started my business as an independent contractor in December 2020, so 4 years ago now, and I've scaled that business to incredible heights. Now that we got all that out of the way, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, we're literally going to cover how to make money as a virtual assistant, building your virtual assistant packages, and understanding all the different ways virtual assistant can get paid and charge. So basically all the fun stuff. However, we are going to talk about something that's not so fun. Taxes. No one can escape from taxes. So you probably already know, starting as a virtual assistant, you're starting as a small business, meaning you will have to register your business and then of course keep track of your finances, and then of course file your own taxes, because the last thing you want to do is not save up, not keep track of your income and taxes, and really start panicking when tax season does come. So building your packages. There's typically three main ways a virtual assistant can earn and put their services into, which is why you need to make sure you know exactly what services you're going to offer so you can put them in packages and move on to the next step. Number one, we have hourly rates. Number two, project-based. Three, monthly retainers. Let's break every single one of these down and really figure out what's the best way for you to start getting paid and earning as a virtual assistant. Typically, a virtual assistant, at least in my world and all the women that I train and coach, they start around $30 to $40 an hour. Now, before you freak out, yes, you can get paid that much just in the very beginning. I have virtual assistants that started around $50 an hour and now have scaled to $100 an hour. It is all very possible. It's just a mindset thing that you have to change if you really want this to work. You have to get out of your own head. If you believe there's no way you can charge $30 to $40 an hour and literally make $5,000 a month, you're not going to make $5,000 a month. It's just never going to happen for you, no matter how hard you try. Let me tell you one thing I've learned over the 4 years of running a business is only 20% strategy and the work that you do, 80% mindset. So you literally got to fix your mindset and really believe that you deserve this, because babe, you do deserve this. Being able to charge this much money, you deserve it. The first thing before we dive into each of these packages and building these packages, a couple things you must know before thinking about building these packages. Number one, determining how much do you want to make a month. It is so important for you to have a baseline that you're working towards. A lot of you might want to start by replacing your current 9 to 5 income, or figuring out the extra expenses that you have and you want to make an extra cash from this business. Determining how much you want to make a month is your step one. Step two, determining how many hours you can work. Again, if you have a 9 to 5, there's only a few hours you can work a day after your 9 to 5, or maybe you want to work in the weekends. So figuring out, okay, how many hours can you work? Let's say, for example, you have 30 hours you could spare out a week for this virtual assistant business. Now, remember, those are not going to be just for client work, meaning you're not going to get paid for all those 30 hours because you got to put in work hours. You got to take out time for your own business, this business that you're building, you're creating. For example, let's say you want to make $3,000 a month and you can work 30 hours a day. 5 hours out of those 30 hours are going to be putting into your own business, meaning you will not get paid for those 5 hours. So it leaves you a total of 25 hours a week. So let's say $3,000 divided by 100, that's $30 an hour right there. So you're going to start off by creating $30 an hour packages. I am going to share an example here for what that might look like. So we have a basic hour package and then we have our premium. Main difference here is the hours that you put in. When it comes to hourly rates, it's literally what it sounds. You're going to get paid for the hour. This is the best place for any virtual assistant, especially as a beginner, to start. So it's not about how many tasks you're doing and how different the tasks are from each package. You can clearly see the tasks are pretty much the same. The only difference is the amount of hours you are putting in. The basic one is 20 hours, and then of course the other one is 40 hours, which is why it's going to be $1,000 a month compared to the $500 a month. So this is how you're going to create your hourly packages. You can have packages that are more custom depending on your schedule, your monthly income goal from this business. I've had students that started creating 3 hours a week packages, 5 hours a week packages, 10 hours a week packages, just because 20 hours and 40 hours law for them to immediately start because they do have other priorities like a 9 to 5. They also have kids and all of that sort. So it really depends on your schedule, your priorities, your lifestyle right now. Number 2 is project based. It's not going to be for every virtual assistant. This mainly depends on the type of services you choose to provide. So the best example I can provide you with is if you're looking into providing graphic designing as one of your services. So let's say you want to start providing web design. As a web designer virtual assistant, you can charge per project instead of really figuring out, okay, how many hours is it taking me to design this website? So one website for one client, maybe it has 5 to 6 slides, you can charge per project because it just won't make sense to charge per hour. Some websites, it might take you a bit longer than other websites. Also depends on the type of website your client wants from you, kind of information, the amount of copy they want. Some might not even need you to write their copy, might just need you to copy and paste all the copy. So it really depends on your client, hence you're charging per package, per website, right? If you're choosing to provide services that make sense for you to charge per project instead of the hours, this might be a perfect way for you to get started. And then, of course, monthly retainers. This is where a lot of the virtual assistants actually transition from hourly to monthly retainers because eventually a lot of them start getting good at their job as they should, because the more you do anything, the better you're going to get, the faster you're going to get. So when you become faster, for example, let's say one of the tasks is writing blogs. So you are writing blogs for clients and you start off by creating 3 to 4 blogs for your clients and you're charging per hour and it's taking you 6 to 7 hours. Now that you've worked with multiple clients and you have the experience and now you're a lot faster creating blogs because you've got the hang of it, just because you've gotten faster, you don't want to charge less. That just doesn't make sense. So what you will do is start charging in retainers. So regardless of how long it's taking you, you're still getting paid for the end result. This is the best way to truly understand why does one start charging monthly retainers. It's also known as a flat fee because you're now charging for the end result. You're charging for what writing those 3 to 4 blog posts per week is going to bring and do for your client's business. Whatever that may be for your client, you're going to charge for the end result. It's also going to help you make a lot more money faster because let's say it took you 6 to 7 hours to write 3 to 4 blogs. Now it's taking you half of that time. You don't want to start charging less. Now you've created a flat fee. Let's say, for example, at $1,200 a month. Now you can also sign another client for another $1,200 because you have time now, because you've literally gotten so good at writing blog posts that you can create blog posts for 2 clients in the same amount of time that you used to. So that is an extra client, an extra $1,200 coming into your bank account. This is the difference between charging hourly and then monthly retainers. I 100% would suggest you quickly shifting from hourly to monthly retainers if you see yourself getting really, really good and faster. That is the first sign. Now, if you're someone who is going to be providing social media management as a majority of your tasks, I would suggest you start at monthly retainers and skip the hourly rate for your social media packages. Why? Because with social media, it's a lot more complex. It's way easier to charge for the end result than just hourly. Here's an example of your social media packages that you can charge in monthly retainers. We have three different packages: bronze, silver, and then gold. So the main difference here for the pricing is no longer the hours, it's the work that you do. Your bronze and just gold has a massive difference. 2 to 3 posts per week inside your bronze, but there's 5 to 6 posts for your gold. Second task is 2 to 3 done for you story prompts, and then 6 to 7. There's no reels that you're creating for them inside the bronze package. You're bringing in 10 to 20 new leads for them inside their business per month, whereas you're bringing 30 to 40 new leads per month inside your gold package. You're only doing 10 to 15 minutes of engagement 3 times a week, whereas in the gold package, you're doing 30 minutes Monday through Friday. Massive difference, right? This is how monthly retainer packages work. There's a massive difference. It's no longer just about the time, it's about what you're doing, what they're getting inside each package. Let a recap before we go into custom packages. Your hourly packages is literally super simple. It's the amount of hours. So your hourly package is you're basically exchanging time for money. And then your project base is based off of per project, per client. And then, of course, our monthly retainer packages is all about what they're getting in each package and what you're actually delivering. Now, custom packages. There's basically no explanation needed. It's not like a separate or a whole different way to get paid. It's basically having custom packages, regardless if you're charging hourly or you're charging in monthly retainers. So let's say one client reaches out to you and they see your bronze, silver, gold package, but they want something right in the middle, maybe in the middle of your silver and gold or your bronze and silver. You can actually create them a custom package that they're looking for and set a price for that to offer it to them. Why I suggest you have an outline of your custom packages before talking to your client about this custom packages, that I want to make sure you're not undercharging, because custom packages could be a bit tricky, and a lot of the time, especially when you're first starting out, you could get super nervous and you might undercharge. And I want you to have a range of how much you will charge for that custom package before you start offering them and you start marketing them. These are the 4 ways you're going to start charging as a brand new virtual assistant. Now, moving on to the last part of our video, the not so fun part, but very, very important: taxes and finances. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer or bookkeeper or anything like that. Everything that I know, I've learned through my business. Of course, now I have outsourced a lot of these tasks, meaning I no longer keep track of my own finances or taxes, but as a beginner virtual assistant, I sure did. I did everything on my own. The #1 app that I downloaded to help me keep track was QuickBooks for small business owners. In both Canada and the US, as a sole proprietor, the tax rate is around 15%. I recommend saving around 20 to 30% at least in the very beginning for taxes to ensure that you're just prepared. It never hurts to save more money than you need. As much as paying taxes inside your business is not fun, you as a business are allowed to write off a lot of things, which is a huge upside to all of this. Like when I bought my first laptop, I invested into my first assistant course, I was able to write off a lot of the equipment that I was buying, courses I was investing into, to the point where using my phone plan that I had, the Wi-Fi I was using inside my house, I was able to write off quite a bit. If you want to learn more in depth about taxes and how write-offs work, I would suggest watching a YouTube video on a sole proprietor or freelancer taxes. There's literally tons of videos here on YouTube. I would also suggest opening a separate business account or a checkings account in your personal banking just so you can differentiate your current income and then the income that you're making inside your business. As we're talking about money inside this part, you also need to figure out how are you going to get paid. There's a lot of payment processors like Stripe, Wave, PayPal, and then of course, making sure that you have your virtual assistant contract. A few programs where you could send out your contract and get signed. When I first started, I created my contract on Google Document and I basically used an app called HelloSign to get my contract signed. That is basically it for today's video. Your homework today will be putting your services into packages, pricing your packages, and really figuring out what payment processor you want to use to start getting paid and to learn about taxes in your own state, your own province, and your country, and how registering a business and all of that works. And then, of course, how you want to create your contract. I do have a VA contract template, which I will leave the link below for you. It's already done for you. With that being said, this video is coming to an end. However, part 3 is going to be so much fun. Now that you know exactly what you want to provide and you have your packages ready to go, the next step is literally going to be working with clients, getting these clients, these high-paying clients into your services. We're going to talk about how to market your business, market your services, and truly help you stand out and build a personal brand online. And then, of course, how to network with clients to get their attention. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you get a notification when I do post the next video, and I will see you next week.